Welcome to Sleepy Science. Before you close your eyes tonight, I want you to think about trees, not as plants, but as silent witnesses. Some trees standing on Earth right now were alive before cities existed, before roads, before names were given to places. They remember storms no human ever saw. They communicate without sound. They move without walking. They protect themselves without fear. And the strange part is this: they are doing things that science is only now beginning to understand. Tonight, you will hear facts about trees that slow the mind. Facts that feel quiet but are deeply unsettling in a peaceful way. Nothing dramatic. Just truths that stay with you as you drift off. If you enjoy falling asleep to quiet mysteries like this, subscribe to Sleepy Science. And now, let's begin. Before anyone looks, something is already there. Long before footsteps slow down, long before eyes lift, it has been standing, growing, changing without needing to be noticed at all. It does not wait for attention. It does not pause when no one is watching. Its work continues in quiet layers of time. Growth does not ask for permission. It does not announce itself. There is no sound when height increases by a finger's width, no signal when roots push a little deeper. Nothing flashes when another year is added inside. It happens anyway, slowly, steadily, without witnesses. Most of its life happens outside human time. Days matter less than seasons. Seasons matter less than cycles. While people measure progress in minutes and weeks, this living form measures change in rings and pressure and patience. Nothing rushes it. Nothing needs to. A small moment passes for us. A breath, a thought, a blink. Inside this living body, that moment is almost nothing. It is barely felt. What matters more is rain that soaks deep, heat that lasts weeks, cold that holds on longer than expected. These are the moments that shape it. There is no training phase, no learning curve. From the start, growth begins. Not fast, not slow, just enough. Always enough. It does not compare itself to others nearby. It does not compete in the way humans imagine. It simply responds to what reaches it. Light moves across the sky each day, sometimes strong, sometimes hidden. When light is present, energy is made. When it is gone, stored strength carries it through. No panic, no stress, just balance. Inside, layers are being added. Thin lines pressed gently against the past. Each line holds memory, but not the kind we recognize. Not images, not stories, just record. Dry year, wet year, warm year, hard year. All of it stays, nothing is erased. Years can pass without any clear change on the outside. From far away it looks the same. The shape holds. The color barely shifts, but inside time keeps stacking. Quiet proof that life has been moving forward the whole time. People walk past without knowing this. They pass by quickly. They are busy with thoughts that pull them forward. Schedules, messages, plans. They rarely stop long enough to sense what is happening beside them. This living form does not mind. It has never depended on being noticed. Attention does not feed it. Praise does not help it grow. It has learned to exist without applause. Wind moves through its upper reaches, not as noise but as touch, pressure, release. Over time, this movement shapes strength. Areas that feel more force become stronger. Areas that feel less remain flexible. It adjusts without thinking. Rain arrives without warning, sometimes too much, sometimes too little. Each drop carries weight, each drop matters. Water moves down through leaves, through skin, into deeper paths. None of it is wasted. When drought comes, everything slows. Growth narrows, energy is saved. Nothing complains, nothing breaks. Survival becomes quiet instead of dramatic. Cold does something different. Movement tightens. Systems pull inward. Stillness takes over. From the outside, it can look like nothing is happening at all, but waiting is also an action. There are days when nothing changes that humans can see. No new shape, no movement, no sign. But inside, tiny shifts continue. Cells divide. Structures strengthen. Balance is maintained. Time inside moves without clocks. There is no start signal and no finish line. It is just continuation. One moment leaning into the next. Long before humans built roads, this way of living already existed. Long before names were given, it was already standing. It learned how to hold space without claiming it. Even damage becomes part of the story. A broken limb does not end the process, it changes direction. Growth moves around the wound, strength builds elsewhere, loss becomes shape. Nothing here is wasted. Even what falls away feeds what remains. Old layers protect new ones. Past seasons become support. Standing nearby, it is easy to miss all of this. The surface looks calm, still, ordinary, but ordinary is only what we call things we do not fully see. There is no urgency here, no rush to become something else. What it is today is enough for today. What it will be tomorrow can wait. As you stand close, without naming it, without thinking too hard, there is a quiet sense of time slowing down. Something tall and steady beside you has been here longer than your worries. It will likely remain after they fade. And for a moment, you are simply there with it, sharing the same air, the same ground, the same silence. What looks slow from the outside is busy on the inside. What seems still is never truly stopped. A tree standing quiet is not paused. It is working in ways the eye cannot catch. Growth does not rush, but it also never waits. It moves at a pace that does not need approval. Inside the trunk, tiny actions happen every moment. Cells divide without noise. They do not need light or notice. One becomes two, two become more. This does not happen once a day. It happens again and again, quietly stacking time into form. No signal is sent. No marker is left behind. Pressure builds inside the wood. Water moves upward against gravity. This alone sounds impossible, yet it happens all the time. Thin paths inside the tree pull water from the ground to the highest leaf. This movement is slow, but it never stops. Even when nothing seems to change, the flow continues. Growth does not only mean getting taller. It means thickening. It means strengthening. It means adjusting balance. A tree shifts its weight little by little. It leans without falling. It reacts to wind without thinking. Each change is small, but together they reshape the whole body. At night, when the world goes quiet, the work does not end. Growth continues in darkness. In some cases, it increases. Without heat from the sun, water pressure changes. Cells relax. New space forms. The tree uses this moment to expand. No one sees it happen. No one hears it. Microscopic layers form under the bark. These layers decide the future shape of the tree. They decide where strength will go. They decide which side will grow more. This choice is not random. It follows signals from stress, light, and gravity. All of this happens without awareness. Time feels different inside a tree. A single night can matter. A single season can change everything. Years stack up quietly, each one recorded as a thin ring. These rings are not just age. They are memory. They show wet years and dry ones, calm seasons and hard ones. The tree remembers without thought. What feels like waiting is actually preparation. The tree does not hurry because it does not need to. Its pace matches the world around it. It grows when the conditions allow. It rests when they do not. This is not delay, it is precision. From far away, nothing seems to happen. From close up, nothing looks different. But inside, pressure shifts. Cells stretch. Walls harden. Tiny cracks form to make room for more life. This is motion without movement, change without drama. Even damage becomes part of growth. When a branch breaks, the tree reacts. It seals the wound slowly. It redirects energy. It grows around the loss. Scar tissue forms and becomes stronger than before. The injury does not stop the process, it shapes it. Growth does not follow a straight line, it curves, it adapts. If light moves, growth moves with it. If the ground tilts, the trunk adjusts. These changes are slow enough to feel invisible but fast enough to matter. Over time, they create form. Stillness is not empty. It is full of small actions layered together. When you stand near a tree and feel nothing happening, that is because the work is too steady to notice. It does not announce itself. It simply continues. Nothing inside the tree is rushing. Nothing is stuck. Everything is moving at the right speed. A speed chosen by pressure, water, and time. A speed that does not feel slow from the inside. What we call slow is only slow because we are impatient. The tree measures progress differently. It does not count days. It responds to moments. A shift in temperature, a change in moisture, a long night, a short one. All of this happens whether anyone is watching or not. Growth does not pause for attention. It does not wait for permission. It moves through stillness and turns it into form. So when you see a tree standing quiet, understand that quiet is working. Stillness is active. Nothing is frozen. Everything is in motion, just too gentle to disturb the air around it. Below the surface, a different world begins. It starts just under the skin of the ground, where light does not reach and sound becomes softer. What grows there never looks up. It never waits for the sky. It moves outward instead, spreading into dark space where direction is felt, not seen. While branches reach for air, this hidden system travels farther, wider, and often longer than anything above. What surprises many people is how far this underground world goes. It does not stop at the edge of the shade. It does not stop where the leaves end. It keeps moving, pushing through soil grains, sliding between stones, bending around small walls of earth. For every step taken upward, many more steps are taken sideways and down. The shape above is only a hint of the size below. Nothing underground grows in a straight line for long. Each turn is decided by touch and pressure. When soil is loose, movement is faster. When it is tight, growth slows and curves. This happens without sound or pause. The path is adjusted again and again, like a quiet search that never stops asking where to go next. These underground paths do not rush toward the sky. They move toward moisture. Water leaves a signal in the soil long before it arrives. Tiny changes in pressure and chemical balance are enough. Growth shifts toward those signals without knowing why. It follows paths that feel more open, more alive. This can happen hours before rain touches the surface. What makes this stranger is that nearby systems are doing the same thing. They move close, then change direction. They do not crash into each other often. They sense presence without contact. When another system is near, growth slows or turns away. Space is shared without words or borders. It is a quiet agreement that no one sees. This hidden network also remembers. Soil that once held water keeps a trace. Even after it dries, something remains. Growth returns to those places more easily the next time. The ground becomes a map made of past moments. Nothing is written, yet nothing is fully forgotten. Movement underground does not stop at night. In fact, much of it becomes more active. Without heat from the sun, moisture stays longer in the soil. Pressure changes slightly. Growth responds. Cells divide slowly but constantly, pushing tips forward by tiny amounts. The distance is small, but the time is long. Over years, it becomes vast. Inside each thin strand, water moves upward and downward. Minerals travel from one end to another. Signals pass through without sound. Damage in one area can affect movement elsewhere. It is not a single line but a system of many paths, all adjusting together. Nothing here acts alone. Sometimes these paths connect with others not like them. Tiny living threads in the soil meet them and form quiet partnerships. Resources are exchanged without either side seeing the other. One offers minerals pulled from stone. The other offers sugars made in light. This trade happens in the dark, unseen, and constant. The soil itself changes because of this movement. Tiny spaces open. Air slips in. Water moves more freely. Life that cannot move benefits from this motion. Bacteria gather. Insects follow. The underground world becomes layered and busy, yet still feels silent from above. What feels solid under your feet is often loose inside. It shifts slowly as these systems push and pull. Even stone cracks over time. The pressure is small but patient. Nothing underground needs to hurry. Time works differently here. Days are not counted. Only progress matters. There are moments when movement pauses, not because growth has stopped, but because conditions are being read. Moisture drops, pressure changes. The path waits, then adjusts. This waiting is not empty. It is full of sensing. It is a quiet decision being made without thought. When the surface shakes from wind or footsteps, the movement is felt below. Vibrations travel through soil like distant thunder. The underground world notices. Growth patterns can shift slightly after strong movement. Even silence has weight here. During long dry periods, movement slows but does not end. Energy is saved. Paths remain ready. When water returns, growth resumes along routes already prepared. Nothing is wasted. Every pause has a purpose. The deeper you go, the darker it becomes. But activity does not fade. It becomes steadier. Temperature changes less. Pressure stays even. Growth here is slow but sure. This is where long plans are carried out without interruption. Above ground, seasons come and go. Below ground, time stretches. Years feel like moments. Decades feel like steps. What begins as a thin thread can become a wide path without anyone noticing the change. Most people never think about what lies beneath them. They feel the ground as still and complete. But under every step there is motion. There is searching. There is sharing. There is memory being written into soil without ink. Right now, as you listen, something is shifting below. A path is extending by a fraction. A signal is being passed. A decision is being made without sound. It is happening quietly, directly beneath your feet. What happens to a tree does not disappear when the moment ends. It does not fade the way sounds fade. It stays, held inside the wood, not as a thought, but as a change. Long before anyone is near. Long before anything is noticed, the tree has already adjusted itself because of something that happened once. A dry season comes. Water pulls away from the soil. Leaves close tiny openings without knowing why they do it. Inside the trunk, thin tubes tighten. Growth slows not as a choice, but as a reaction that settles deep. When water returns months later, the tree does not return to exactly what it was. Something inside it has shifted, just a little, and that shift remains. Years later, another dry season arrives. This time, the response is not the same as before. The tree closes those tiny openings sooner. It changes its inner flow faster, not because it expects anything, but because the wood has already been shaped by an earlier lack. The past is not recalled, it is built in. A branch breaks in a storm. The break is clean, but the surface is exposed. Inside the tree, signals move outward from the wound. Not thoughts, not feelings. Just chemistry moving through narrow paths. Cells near the break thicken their walls. Others produce bitter compounds that insects do not like. The shape of the wood near that place becomes denser over time. Years pass. The broken place is sealed under new layers. From the outside, the surface looks smooth again, but inside, the structure is not the same as before. The wood bends light differently when cut. The grain tightens. Strength gathers in quiet rings. The tree does not remember the storm, but it carries the result of it in every layer added after. If lightning once struck nearby, the response stays even longer. Electrical force pushes through the trunk for a brief moment. It does not leave a mark you can see easily, but inside, pathways change. Sap flow patterns adjust. Growth leans away from that path without being directed. Years later, the shape of the tree still follows that invisible line. When insects attack, the response is slow but exact. Leaves release chemicals that drift through the air. Other leaves on the same tree begin changing before being touched. Nearby trees sometimes adjust too, not as a warning but as a reaction to what enters their space. The response depends on what happened before. A tree that faced the same insect years earlier reacts differently than one that never has. Cold winters leave traces too. When extreme cold tightens the cells, tiny cracks form inside. These cracks are not damage in the usual sense. They become guides. When growth resumes, new cells form around them. The direction of growth bends slightly. Rings grow uneven. The cold season ends, but its shape stays. Fire does the same in a stronger way. Heat changes proteins inside the wood. Even if flames never touch the trunk, warmth alters chemistry. The tree grows with thicker bark afterward, not because it knows fire may return, but because the earlier heat changed how future layers form. The past becomes part of the structure. All of this happens without signals that look like decisions. There is no center where information is gathered. There is no place where choices are made. There are only reactions that stack over time. Each event leaves a small mark. Each mark affects what comes next. If you could see inside a tree the way you see pages in a book, you would not find words. You would find patterns, denser rings, lighter rings, narrow spaces where growth slowed, wider ones where water was plenty. Every change is tied to something that already passed. Even when nothing seems to happen, the inner state is still shaped by what came before. A calm year does not erase a hard one. It grows on top of it. The tree does not reset. It continues. The strange thing is how long these effects last. A dry year can shape growth for decades. A wound can change how the tree bends in the wind forever. Time does not wash these changes away. It only covers them. As new layers form, old layers remain locked inside. They do not fade. They do not soften. They sit there quietly, holding the shape of a moment that no one watched, a moment that no one remembers, a moment that still matters. If you place your hand on the trunk, you are touching many different times at once, not just age, but reactions. Each layer formed under different conditions, each one slightly altered by what came before. The tree you see now is not just growing forward. It is carrying everything behind it. This is how time loops inside wood, not by going backward but by staying. The past is not gone. It is sealed inside, layer by layer, holding the quiet shape of events that never needed a witness. And while you stand there breathing slowly, something below the surface is still responding, still adjusting, still carrying traces forward. The tree does not think about what happened. It does not need to. The shape of time is already inside it. Trees are often seen as still, quiet beings, but below the ground they are speaking in ways we rarely notice. Beneath your feet, a web of tiny threads winds its way through the soil. These are not just roots or roots alone, but something older, something that connects the living network. The threads belong to fungi that live with the trees, and they carry information that travels slower than sound, yet with purpose. Each signal moves carefully, moving from one root to another, as if sharing a secret without urgency. Water is scarce in one area and the message begins. Nutrients are spreading unevenly, and the web whispers the news. Trees respond not with voice but with action. Branches adjust, leaves stretch toward light, and roots reach for moisture. The change is subtle, imperceptible if you are standing above ground, yet it is a conversation that has been happening for centuries. The speed is slow but deliberate, like a rhythm only the trees understand. It is not about hurry. The signal flows through chemical reactions, tiny shifts, and exchanges of compounds. A tree may alert its neighbor that an insect is present, or that the soil is drying, or that it is time to conserve resources. The message is not loud. It is patient. It waits for the right moment to reach the next tree, which listens without ears. They respond without haste, adjusting growth and metabolism quietly. If you could see this network, it would look like threads glowing softly beneath the earth, pulsing gently as if alive. The trees seem to be awake while appearing still. Every inch of root, every tiny mycelium participates in this slow exchange. It is precise, a hidden intelligence embedded in the soil. Even though it is slow, there is efficiency in the silence. Nothing is wasted. A tree might receive multiple signals from multiple neighbors and prioritize them without confusion. It senses which direction to send water, which branch to strengthen, which root to extend. It is a system that does not need noise, for urgency would be meaningless in the long life of a tree. Here, time stretches differently. A message that seems slow to us can have immediate impact on the future of a grove. Trees adapt based on these quiet signals, and the adjustments ripple outward, touching every trunk and leaf. The forest, in essence, is a conversation that humans cannot hear, but can feel if they pay attention to the subtle patterns above the ground. Light filtering through the canopy changes according to these signals. A tree might shed a leaf in response to the warning from a neighbor. Another might grow faster to capture more sunlight, knowing the soil ahead will support it. Each action is small but connected to a larger network. It is like a hidden choreography performed in slow motion, unseen by human eyes. You can imagine standing among the trees, feeling the quiet hum of activity beneath your feet. It is a reminder that stillness is not emptiness. It is a space filled with motion and intent, hidden from view but very real. Sometimes a tree is damaged by wind or storm. The news travels down the fungal network. Neighboring trees adjust their growth, reinforcing weak branches and sending energy toward the exposed area. No alarm sounds. No panic arises. The forest adapts, changes, and continues, connected by the invisible web. Even roots buried far apart can sense the stress and alter their growth patterns in anticipation. The response is subtle, almost like a heartbeat beneath the soil. Trees also share resources in this network. Nutrients move from one tree to another, often to help the younger or weaker ones. It is a form of silent support that defies competition. There is no struggle for attention. The forest works as a community without words. Fungi act as the messengers, moving chemicals that tell a tree how to react, when to hold back, and when to push forward. The rhythm is consistent, like breathing. It is patient, enduring, and always present, though invisible. Imagine walking barefoot through the forest, unaware that below you, a delicate thread of life stretches for miles. Every step presses down on a living conversation. Every moment, signals travel from root to root, whispering secrets of survival and growth. Trees have learned to live with one another in this quiet system for thousands of years. They are always listening, always responding, yet they do it without urgency. There is no chaos, only careful coordination, like a dance performed in darkness. The messages do not carry panic or fear. They are steady, practical, and precise. A tree may warn of approaching drought not to cause worry, but to adjust growth accordingly. It will tell a neighbor about a rich patch of soil, not for praise but for survival. It is information shared for the continuation of life, pure and without distraction. You could call it wisdom, if wisdom were patient, chemical, and invisible. Even the smallest trees participate. Saplings exchange tiny signals with older trees, receiving guidance and support. The underground web does not discriminate by size or age. Every participant matters, every signal counts. And while humans cannot hear the messages, they shape the forest above. Branches reach for light in patterns that follow the guidance beneath. Leaves grow and fall with an unseen understanding. The forest above ground is the visible reflection of the network below. The idea that silence can carry messages is not a metaphor here. It is reality. Beneath every forest floor, beneath every patch of grass and soil, trees communicate without words, without noise, without hurry. The signals move through fungal threads, through roots, through chemical exchanges, creating a network older than humans have walked the earth. You are standing in the middle of a conversation that started centuries ago, one that will continue long after we are gone. And if you pause and listen, not with your ears but with your attention, you might sense it. The forest is speaking in slow pulses, in quiet exchanges, in a rhythm that is invisible yet undeniable. Messages travel from one root to another, adjusting, guiding, sustaining life in ways we are only beginning to understand. There is a language without sound, a connection without sight, and it is everywhere under your feet. This quiet communication shapes the forest in ways we rarely notice. Trees respond, adapt, and thrive because of it. The next time you walk among them, imagine the secret conversations happening below. Every root, every thread, every particle of soil is part of a living system that works in silence. And in that silence, there is a story, moving patiently, deliberately, carrying the life of the forest forward, one slow, hidden message at a time. You are standing in the middle of it. You are part of it. And the next time you touch a tree or feel the soil underfoot, you can imagine the slow, careful words moving beneath you. A message has passed, unseen, unheard, but powerful in shaping everything around it. The forest whispers, and life continues in the quietest way imaginable. Trees live with a sense of timing that humans rarely notice. They do not rush, yet they decide when a part of them should end. A branch that once reached for light may start to weaken. Slowly, the tree begins to redirect energy, sending nutrients and water to other parts that can thrive. The branch does not scream or signal loudly. There is no struggle we can hear. Yet beneath the bark, a quiet process begins. The cells at the base of the branch start to change, forming a barrier. It is like a line drawn in silence, separating what will continue from what must end. This decision is not sudden. It grows over months or even years. A tree senses the branch is no longer helping survival. Perhaps insects have invaded, or damage has made it weak. The tree responds by sealing the branch from the rest of the living tissue. Tiny chemical changes prevent decay from spreading. The branch slowly dies, but it is controlled, intentional. From above, you may see a dead limb, but the rest of the tree thrives, supported by energy carefully redirected. Survival in the forest is not only about growing, it is about knowing what to let go. Trees shed more than branches. Sometimes leaves fall early in response to stress or drought. The timing seems natural, even beautiful, yet it is a strategy. Each leaf removed saves water, reduces energy spent on maintenance, and allows the tree to focus on parts that can still grow. The process is deliberate. It is not loss in the human sense because the tree does not mourn. Instead, it calculates, reallocates, and continues. There is wisdom hidden in the act of letting go, a hidden knowledge that ensures life moves forward even when part of it ends. Wounds are another place where trees show control. A scar from a storm or a cut from humans triggers a quiet response. The tree begins to build protective layers around the injury. Bark grows over the damaged area, chemicals are released to prevent rot or infection, and the tree isolates the wounded section. The rest of the tree continues to thrive without interference. This is a type of decision too. The tree recognizes its limits. It can survive even when parts fail. Life continues because the tree knows how to protect itself, how to manage loss without panic. Even roots follow this rule. If a section of root is damaged by rocks or dryness, the tree sends less energy there. New roots may form in safer zones. Old roots may die quietly, unnoticed, as energy is pulled to stronger pathways. It is a hidden strategy, invisible from above, yet essential for survival. Trees appear stationary, but inside they are constantly assessing, calculating, adjusting. Growth, decay, and repair are all intertwined in a slow, precise rhythm. Timing is also seen in reproduction. Some trees hold back flowers and seeds until conditions are perfect. They do not bloom too early, risking frost or drought. They wait, sometimes for years, silently sensing the right moment. When the time comes, the energy stored in roots and branches is released, and flowers appear as if by magic. The act is quiet, but it is deliberate. Even in death, trees make choices that ensure the continuation of life. Sometimes letting go can be dramatic. A large branch may snap in a storm. The tree accepts it because the rest of the structure is intact. The energy has already been withdrawn from the weak limb. The tree survives. Life in the forest is a constant balance between holding on and letting go. Every dead branch tells a story of choice, timing, and survival. It is not waste, it is strategy. Trees have mastered the art of survival through controlled endings. This sense of timing extends to the entire life of a tree. Some parts may live for centuries, while others only last a season. Old trees often have hollow trunks or broken limbs, yet they continue to grow, spread leaves, and produce seeds. Every cut, every loss, every shedding of a branch or leaf is managed. Nothing is random. Even death is not abrupt. It is gradual, deliberate, and integrated into the life of the tree. Energy management is central to this process. A tree must decide where to put its limited resources. Should it nourish a weak branch or invest in young shoots that will carry life forward? The decision is chemical and physical, not conscious in the human sense, but it is precise. Life is always prioritized, and what cannot contribute is quietly released. Even in seeming stillness, the tree is active, calculating survival with every passing season. You can see the signs if you look closely. Dead branches hanging high, leaves falling early, scars sealed with new bark. These are not failures. They are choices, made over time, that keep the tree alive. There is a hidden intelligence in this, a rhythm that humans cannot feel unless they observe carefully and patiently. Every loss is part of a larger pattern of life. Trees also use death to teach others indirectly. When a limb falls, it creates space for younger trees to grow. Sunlight reaches the ground, water nourishes roots that were once shaded. The fallen branch decays and returns nutrients to the soil. Death in one part becomes growth in another. The forest continues as a complex system of giving and letting go, where endings support beginnings, and survival is never about clinging to everything. The quiet strength of trees lies in their ability to balance. To survive, they must sometimes sacrifice. A weak branch, a damaged leaf, a dying root, these are not losses but careful choices. Even in death there is a purpose, a hidden logic that maintains life above and below the ground. Trees do not rush, do not panic, and do not resist the flow of time. They work with it, using endings to preserve the whole. If you walk through a forest, you might notice branches lying on the ground or leaves turning early. Pause and imagine the quiet decision behind each. The tree knew, long before you arrived, that this branch or leaf could no longer contribute to survival. The choice was made patiently, deliberately, and without drama. In that moment, the tree shows mastery over life and death, a wisdom embedded in every cell, every fiber, every hidden root. Even when an entire tree begins to die, it does so slowly. Sap may recede, leaves fade, and branches weaken. Yet the process is gradual. Energy is pulled back to areas that can continue. Seeds may be released one last time, giving life to the next generation. The end is never sudden. It is measured, balanced, and purposeful. Trees teach us silently that letting go is not weakness. It is part of survival. And so, when you touch a tree or notice a fallen branch, remember this. Trees have learned to survive by choosing carefully, by controlling endings, by redirecting life where it matters most. Every branch, leaf, and root plays a role in a system that understands timing beyond human perception. Survival includes letting go, and in that quiet letting, life continues, stronger and wiser than before. Trees live with time in a way humans cannot feel. They do not count days or hours, yet every year leaves its mark. Inside a trunk, layers build slowly, quietly, without notice. Each ring is a story, a record of a season, a hint of weather, a trace of sunlight. The tree does not know it is marking time. It does not care about days or months. It simply grows, and the years stack inside it like invisible pages. A single tree can hold hundreds of years, a silent archive of the world around it. The rings are precise. Some are wide, some are narrow, reflecting the rhythm of rain and drought, sun and shade. They are not random lines. They form without intention, yet they capture the passage of time in a way humans rarely notice. You could stand beside a tree and imagine the centuries it has witnessed. Wars, storms, fires, quiet seasons, floods, all recorded quietly within its trunk. It does not speak, yet it remembers in its own way. Time moves differently for a tree. A day for us is short, a lifetime fleeting. For a tree, a day is part of a long process, part of a rhythm that stretches beyond human life. Growth happens slowly, imperceptibly. Leaves open and fall, branches stretch a little more, roots push through soil, and the rings inside the trunk mark the slow accumulation of years. If you cut a tree, you see the invisible calendar it has kept without thought or effort. Each layer is both present and past at the same time. Even inside a single ring, there is information. The density of the wood, the color, the tiny textures, all reveal secrets of the climate, the rain, the warmth of the sun. A tree is like a hidden historian, holding data without speaking, storing centuries in a shape that humans can barely interpret. Time is layered, overlapping, complex, and yet simple. It flows inside the tree without disturbance. You could place your hand on the bark and feel something older than memory, something enduring. Branches also measure time. Growth points mark seasons, buds open when conditions are right, and old leaves fall when energy must be conserved. The tree does not count these events, yet it responds as if it has an internal clock, a rhythm set by nature itself. Time becomes physical inside the tree, stacked in rings, fibers, branches, and roots. It is layered like a forest built over centuries, each tree a record of quiet years. Some trees live long enough to witness the life of entire forests. A single tree may sprout when others are young, grow while the world changes, and remain after generations of humans or animals have passed. It holds the past in its fibers, the present in its leaves, and the future in its seeds. Standing next to such a tree, you are inside time that is not yours, yet you can feel it, sense its slow rhythm beneath the bark. The passing seasons leave marks that are subtle. A harsh winter may create a narrow ring. A flood may leave a denser layer. Dry years make light, thin wood. These traces are not obvious unless you look closely, but they are always present. Each year, a tree accumulates history without intention. Life for a tree is a long stacking of moments, each one folded into the next. Even without awareness, the tree experiences continuity, a thread of time that stretches far beyond what we imagine. Time inside a tree is also forgiving. A storm may break a branch, yet the trunk continues to record years quietly. Fire may scorch the outer layers, but growth continues within. Each scar, each mark, each ring contributes to the story. A tree does not stop living because of interruption. Instead, it adapts, grows, and the rings continue to form, layering past and present in a way humans rarely perceive. Imagine standing near an ancient tree, pressing your palm against rough bark. You are touching centuries of silent time. Each line inside the trunk is a season, a year, a memory of sunlight, rain, and wind. You are inside the tree's timeline, a visitor to a calendar measured not by clocks but by growth, by life itself. Time here is stacked, layered, complex, yet gentle. It moves slowly, yet it is relentless. Even the smallest trees hold time in their own way. A sapling may only have a few rings, but it still marks its growth carefully, responding to every season. Every day, every rain, every sunbeam contributes to its timeline. Life, growth, and the passing of time are inseparable. The tree is both present and historical, a vessel carrying its own life and the echoes of the world around it. Roots, too, measure time. Deep underground, they grow steadily, pushing through soil and rock. A root that began decades ago continues to support the tree, connecting it to water and nutrients. Each growth point in the root corresponds to a season, another layer of time hidden beneath the surface. The tree lives outward and downward, expanding its timeline in every direction. Even leaves hold a trace of time. Each bud opens, unfolds, and falls in response to seasons. The cycles repeat, yet each cycle is slightly different, shaped by conditions above and below. A tree experiences time both in accumulation and in repetition. The passing of seasons becomes a rhythm, a quiet pattern that repeats and evolves, layer by layer, year by year. Time in trees is patient. It does not rush. A tree does not hurry to grow or to respond. Its life is measured in centuries, in decades, in slow transformations that humans barely perceive. The rings are proof of persistence, proof that life continues through subtle changes, tiny adjustments, and quiet endurance. Standing next to a tree is like standing inside a timeline that stretches far beyond your own life. When you touch the trunk or look up at the branches, imagine the years stacked inside, layered like a book you cannot read. The tree is a vessel of time, quietly recording, silently observing. Every ring, every branch, every leaf is a marker, a note, a layer of existence that has passed. You are inside this timeline now, even if only for a moment, a visitor in the slow, layered world of a tree. The forest is filled with these timelines, each tree carrying its own centuries, each trunk a hidden archive. Time is not linear here. It is folded, layered, and overlapping. You could walk among trees and touch hundreds of years without realizing it. Every step places you among stacked centuries, quiet and mysterious, waiting for you to sense them. And as you stand there, you realize something strange. Time is not only measured in days or clocks, but in growth, in layers, in rings that record the passing of light, water, wind, and storms. The tree holds it all inside. You are surrounded by history, yet it feels present. You are part of a world where time is stacked, layered, and held in the living body of the forest. You are inside layered time. Each tree carries it silently. Every ring is a record, every branch a marker. The forest exists in this hidden calendar, stretching beyond human life, beyond memory, beyond awareness. And you are here standing among it, sensing something ancient, something slow, something alive. Trees interact with the air in ways we hardly notice. They stand still, yet they are constantly shaping the world around them. Each leaf has tiny openings, invisible to the eye, that allow air to move in and out. Carbon dioxide enters, oxygen leaves. Water evaporates silently, cooling the surroundings. The process is quiet, effortless, yet it changes the air continuously. You cannot see it, but you can feel it. The air near a tree carries a different quality, a subtle shift, a presence that is both natural and strange. During the day, the process is active. Sunlight drives photosynthesis, forcing the exchange of gases. Leaves take in carbon dioxide, release oxygen, and release tiny droplets of water. The air moves through these droplets, carrying hints of freshness, moisture, and life. It is a flow that does not need wind or sound. Even standing perfectly still, you are surrounded by the result of countless chemical reactions, invisible yet tangible. The forest becomes a living filter, adjusting the air in ways we rarely think about. At night, the behavior changes. Without sunlight, photosynthesis slows or stops and trees adjust quietly. Some absorb oxygen, releasing carbon dioxide instead. The rhythm of life continues, though unseen. The air around a tree at night is different than during the day. It feels heavier, softer, cooler. If you walk among the trees after dark, you might notice it subconsciously, the subtle difference in the way the forest breathes. It is as if the trees have paused and shifted roles, shaping the night in their own quiet way. Branches and leaves act like natural machines. They exchange gases constantly, filtering, renewing, and adjusting. Tiny movements of stomata, the microscopic openings on leaves, control what goes in and out. No effort is required from the tree, yet the effect is continuous. The air becomes a reflection of the tree's life. It is a silent work, ongoing day and night, in sunlight and darkness, without drama or noise. You are walking through the result of this invisible process, breathing what the trees shape around you. Roots below the surface contribute indirectly. They release water and nutrients into the soil, which influence the evaporation rate and humidity above. Trees regulate the balance between the ground and the air in ways too subtle to measure without instruments. Rain or dryness affects this exchange, yet the system adapts silently. You might notice a cooler patch under the canopy, a hint of moisture in the air, without seeing the mechanism that produces it. The effect is seamless, continuous, and almost imperceptible. Trees also remove particles from the air. Dust, smoke, and pollutants can be trapped on leaves or absorbed slowly. In a forest, the air often feels lighter, cleaner, more alive. It is not a sudden change but a constant process, happening minute by minute, hour by hour. Walking among the trees, the air begins to feel different. It is heavier in oxygen, softer in moisture, cleaner in particles. The forest becomes an unseen laboratory, continuously modifying its environment. The effect extends beyond the forest floor. Oxygen released during the day drifts outward, carried by wind or simply by diffusion. The subtle change in the air spreads slowly, touching everything around. Trees may be rooted in one place, but their influence reaches far beyond. Even a small grove can affect the quality of air for meters around, shaping the atmosphere quietly and persistently. The trees work without effort, without intent, yet the world around them is subtly altered. Temperature and humidity are part of the effect. As leaves release water, the air cools slightly. Shade creates pockets of cooler air, while transpiration adds moisture. You feel it if you pause and notice. The effect is gentle, not dramatic, but unmistakable if you are attuned. Walking near a large tree on a hot day, the air feels different. There is no fan, no machine, only the quiet life of the tree adjusting, balancing, and shaping the environment around it. Airborne chemicals also play a role. Some trees release compounds that affect insects, humans, and other plants. These volatile chemicals can be soothing, protective, or even mysterious. The forest carries faint scents of resin, sap, and leaves, mixing with moisture and oxygen to create an invisible signature. It is a kind of presence that is felt rather than seen, a subtle change in the quality of the air that hints at life hidden in every leaf and branch. Even damaged trees continue to shape the air. A broken limb, a scar, or a fungus does not stop the process. Life adapts. Leaves still perform gas exchange. Roots continue to provide water and the air remains alive. The process is resilient, continuous, and persistent. You may never notice the complexity, yet it surrounds you constantly. Every breath you take among the trees carries evidence of this hidden activity. The forest itself becomes a breathing system. Each tree contributes to the rhythm, each leaf adds its portion, each root supports the cycle. The result is an invisible field, a living atmosphere shaped by countless tiny actions. You are standing inside it without seeing it. You feel the difference in the air, even if you cannot explain why. The forest has altered its surroundings without effort, without sound, without intention. At night, the change is subtle but present. The exchange of gases slows, moisture may rise or fall, the temperature shifts slightly. The air feels softer, heavier, quieter. If you sit under a tree and close your eyes, you can sense the difference. The forest becomes a presence, not just in space but in the very air surrounding you. Time and life continue quietly above and below the ground, shaping the invisible atmosphere in ways you cannot see, but can feel. Air for a tree is more than a medium. It is a canvas for life. Oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, chemicals, temperature, all are part of a constant, invisible art. The effect is cumulative. A single tree contributes a little. A grove multiplies the effect. The forest becomes a sculptor, shaping the very medium you breathe. You are surrounded by this work, a masterpiece without sound or movement, yet alive with presence. Even when standing still, the effect continues. The wind is not necessary. The sun may set. The forest's life does not pause. The trees shape the air continuously, minute by minute, silently working as you move or sit. Their influence extends beyond the leaves, beyond the roots, beyond the visible. It is everywhere, surrounding you, entering your lungs, altering your sense of the world around you. If you close your eyes, imagine the molecules moving in response to the trees. Oxygen drifting outward, water vapor rising, subtle chemicals mingling. You are inside this invisible work. The air has changed because of life, because of quiet exchange, because of invisible hands moving in rhythm with the forest. The effect is subtle, almost imperceptible, yet undeniable. You are breathing differently now, not because you are aware, but because the trees have altered the atmosphere. Each breath carries evidence of countless tiny actions. Life continues invisibly above and below, shaping what surrounds you. The air feels different because trees exist, because they work continuously, because they exchange gases and chemicals with quiet precision. You are part of this exchange, even if only unknowingly. Every inhale draws in what the forest has produced. Every exhale contributes to the rhythm. The effect is cumulative, gentle, and persistent. Trees do not move, yet they shape the air in ways humans can feel but not fully see. And as you continue to stand or sit among them, the air around you feels altered, carrying the quiet presence of life that exists in every leaf, branch, and root. The forest breathes around you, without effort, without sound, without hurry. You are inside its invisible work. The air is alive, shaped by life, shaped by time, shaped by the trees themselves. You may never see it, but it surrounds you, moves with you, and is part of the mysterious life of the forest. Some trees have lived longer than humans can imagine. They stand silently while centuries pass around them. Cities rise and fall. Names are written and forgotten. Wars begin and end. Kings and rulers come and go, yet the tree remains. Its trunk thickens, its branches stretch higher, its roots dig deeper. It observes without noticing, continues without effort, and endures without recognition. Life moves quickly for humans, but for these trees, existence stretches far beyond the reach of memory. You could walk past a tree that has seen hundreds of years and never realize its age. It does not need attention to survive. Generations of people pass, and the tree remains a quiet witness. Its rings record the time, but the tree does not care about records or stories. It exists beyond events, beyond names, beyond the importance humans assign to moments. The forest around it may change. Animals may come and go. Humans may build roads or clear land. The tree continues. Its permanence is not loud. It does not announce itself. It simply exists. Some trees outlive the written history of a place. You can think of the oldest forests, where trees have seen settlements rise where no one now remembers. The earth changes, climates shift, rivers move, and still, these trees continue quietly. Their age is measured not by fame, but by the simple passage of years marked in wood, leaves, and roots. Time flows differently for them. A century may pass like a single season. A single storm may barely touch their experience. They are not concerned with events. They are concerned only with continuing to grow and adapt. Even when human history is celebrated, trees live on without notice. A famous building may crumble into ruins. A name may be carved into stone, then worn away by rain. Yet a tree nearby remains, still alive, still growing, still holding space. Its presence is permanent without being recognized. It reminds us that survival does not require acknowledgement. Continuity exists even when significance is gone. The forest has its own measures of importance, far slower and quieter than human memory. Events that seem monumental to people are tiny to the tree. A battle fought in the shadow of its branches may change lives, but it leaves no mark on the tree's growth. The branches may break from storms, the leaves may fall, but the trunk continues to grow, holding life inside it. Time for the tree is measured in seasons, water, sunlight, and nutrients, not in fame or achievement. Its endurance is simple, natural, and almost invisible. Some trees predate entire civilizations. They may have begun as seedlings long before the first stone buildings were raised. Imagine a tree older than the streets you walk, older than the books you read, older than the names of leaders whose stories are now forgotten. These trees do not age in the way humans perceive age. They adapt, they repair, they grow slowly. Every scar, every branch, every leaf is part of their life, but the years themselves are almost invisible in the day-to-day. Only when measured in centuries does the true scale of time become clear. Even shorter-lived trees carry the echoes of longer lives. Seeds dropped by an ancient tree may grow into saplings that continue the lineage, stretching the lifespan indirectly through generations. The forest becomes a chain of continuity, linking past to present to future. One tree may fall, another may rise, but the overall life of the forest stretches across centuries. Events may pass without acknowledgement, but life persists. Survival is silent, enduring, and unconcerned with human importance. A tree can witness the building and disappearance of roads, towns, and homes. People may carve their names into its bark, only to forget them decades later. Yet the tree will continue, holding centuries within its rings. Its growth continues above and below ground, a quiet accumulation of life. Nothing it experiences depends on recognition. It outlives stories, outlasts history, and continues without notice. Its life does not require a witness to matter. Even the smallest disturbances in its environment do not shake its long-term survival. Fires may scar the bark, storms may snap branches, insects may nibble leaves, yet the tree continues. Its resilience is built on adaptation, slow repair, and persistence. While humans assign drama to events, the tree experiences only life, unfolding quietly over decades and centuries. The permanence of the tree exists without importance, yet it shapes the space around it, provides shelter, stabilizes the soil, and holds water. Its role continues regardless of attention or fame. You can imagine standing near one of these trees, a living archive older than any book. Its trunk thick, bark rough, branches stretching high, roots buried deep. Each ring inside holds the silent record of years, seasons, storms, and calm. You may feel insignificant beside it, as if time itself moves differently here. You are surrounded by permanence, by life that does not depend on stories or memory. You are in a space where endurance matters more than acknowledgement, where longevity is natural, and where existence is quiet but profound. Even when humans attempt to capture history, the tree already surpasses it. A city may preserve stories in stone or paper, yet those records decay and fade. The tree, however, continues. Seeds fall, roots expand, rings accumulate. The forest remains a slow-moving archive, unaffected by recognition or fame. Its permanence is its own measure, independent of importance. It does not need to be remembered. It simply continues. Trees also outlive names, places, and events in another way. A tree may witness generations of animals living and dying in its branches. Birds nest, squirrels climb, insects move in and out, yet the tree remains. Its branches may change, its leaves may fall, but the structure of life continues. It does not need acknowledgement to persist. Every tree is a silent witness to the continuity of life itself. Even when human culture tries to leave a mark, the tree outlasts it. The stories told, the monuments built, the words written, these fade. Time erodes all human constructions, but the tree endures. Its life is steady, layered, and ongoing. Centuries of sunlight, rain, storms, and calm accumulate inside its rings. Its survival does not depend on anyone noticing. Its permanence exists beyond concern, beyond urgency, beyond drama. The tree is patient. It grows slowly, deliberately, without regard for human timelines. Centuries may pass, yet it adapts to every change in weather, soil, and light. Its endurance is quiet, its survival continuous. It does not hurry and it does not pause. Life unfolds steadily, and the forest around it benefits from this constancy. It is permanence without importance, existence without need for recognition. Standing near such a tree, you can feel something strange. It is not just the size or the shade or the scent. It is the weight of centuries. It is the presence of life that has survived countless events, unnoticed by history, untouched by fame. You are witnessing endurance itself, a life that moves far beyond human memory, a silent continuity that holds space for everything around it. Even if a tree falls, it continues to matter. It decays slowly, returning nutrients to the soil. Seeds from it grow into new trees, continuing the lineage. The permanence is not in the individual but in the ongoing life it supports. A tree may outlive cities, leaders, and stories, yet its existence continues to shape the world. Survival itself is a quiet, enduring story that does not need acknowledgement. This is the strange power of trees. They live far longer than we can imagine. They witness events without comment. They endure beyond memory and recognition. They hold centuries in their rings and branches, outlasting names, places, and stories. Their permanence exists without importance. Their life continues without fame, and their presence reminds us that some things endure simply by existing, quietly, patiently, and without need for attention. You are standing among them, aware that life has unfolded here long before your arrival. You are a visitor in a space shaped by centuries of quiet growth. The tree outlasts the noise of history, the importance humans assign, and the fleeting stories we tell. Its permanence is real, undeniable, and indifferent. It is life beyond notice, endurance beyond meaning, and presence beyond history. When humans leave a place, the world does not stop. Trees continue. Structures crumble slowly, bricks loosen, concrete cracks. Roots push gently against stone, exploring, probing, and expanding. There is no hurry, no intention beyond growth. Yet over years the change is noticeable. Foundations break apart, walls fall silently, and the forest reclaims spaces once dominated by humans. Trees do not rush, they do not plan, yet their persistence reshapes the environment around them. Branches grow into windows and doorways. Vines climb walls, wrapping around columns and beams. Leaves fall onto roofs and floors, slowly covering the remnants of human activity. Moss spreads, filling cracks and corners. The air changes as trees continue to exchange gases, shaping the environment without effort. Even without humans, the forest becomes active again, reclaiming silence that was once interrupted by noise and movement. Life continues quietly, filling every space that was once empty or controlled. Roots are the most patient agents. They move beneath the surface, lifting stones, splitting pathways, and making room for water. Tiny fractures widen over decades. Even thick concrete cannot resist the slow persistence of a root. Trees reshape the land in ways humans rarely see. Sidewalks buckle, walls lean, and the ground swells with new growth. The forest does not hurry, yet the effects accumulate until they become undeniable. The quiet power of life continues without drama, without awareness, simply because growth cannot be stopped. As trees reclaim space, shadows lengthen differently. Sunlight filters through broken windows and crumbling roofs, falling on leaves that move with the wind. The pattern of light and shadow shifts constantly, marking the silent takeover of nature. Birds return. Insects colonize the decaying structures. The soundscape changes subtly. The silence is not empty. It is filled with the quiet activity of life that has never needed recognition. The forest restores balance in its own time, unaffected by human schedules or concerns. Even in the thick of ruins, trees work patiently. Trunks expand, branches reach through gaps, roots burrow under floors. Each inch of growth is deliberate, slow, and persistent. Over years, nature softens the sharp edges of human creation. Rust and rot accelerate decay, but it is the trees that do the most persistent work. They do not notice buildings, roads, or walls. They simply grow, and in doing so, they change the world around them. You could say the forest slowly erases human presence, yet there is no intent, no revenge, no drama, only life continuing. Air itself changes as trees reclaim space. Carbon dioxide is absorbed, oxygen released, moisture added. The atmosphere becomes softer, cooler, and richer. Moss and plants growing through cracks release scents that hint at hidden life. Even abandoned rooms begin to feel alive, filled with the subtle pulse of photosynthesis and growth. You cannot see all the changes, but you can sense them. Silence is not empty here. It is layered with quiet, patient work. Sometimes trees grow in unexpected ways when humans leave. A root may curl around a foundation, lifting it gently. A branch may bend through a hole in a wall, spreading leaves inside a once closed room. The forest adapts creatively to the spaces it finds. It fills gaps and cracks, finding new ways to extend life into areas where nothing else can survive. Growth does not require permission, planning, or observation. It only requires persistence, time, and opportunity. Seasons continue their cycle regardless of human absence. Snow falls on abandoned streets, rain soaks the soil, sunlight warms the bark. Trees respond in quiet, natural ways. Water moves through roots and leaves, nutrients flow, and the chemical balance shifts to support life. Every element works together without guidance, without plan, without urgency. The forest reclaims control of the land slowly, quietly, but inevitably. You can imagine walking through an abandoned town, streets empty, buildings collapsing. Yet life continues above and below ground. A tree grows through the pavement, leaves flutter, roots burrow deeper. Insects and small animals inhabit corners once sealed by doors. Moss carpets floors. The forest is patient and methodical, reclaiming what humans once occupied without drama, without intent, simply because life moves forward. Even when buildings fall entirely, trees do not notice the collapse. They grow around it, over it, and through it. The shapes of life change as the structure decays, and the forest fills the void. Soil accumulates over floors, plants sprout, roots anchor the earth. A place once rigid and controlled is softened and absorbed by nature. The process is slow but unstoppable. Time favors persistence, and the trees embody that principle perfectly. Animals return to these spaces as the forest reclaims them. Birds nest in broken rafters, squirrels climb trunks that pierce rooftops, insects burrow into softening wood. The area hums quietly with life that does not need human recognition. The abandoned space is transformed into a new ecosystem, guided silently by the growth of trees and the rhythms of nature. Life finds its own patterns, shapes, and systems without notice, without planning, without urgency. Even the fallen wood becomes part of the process. Dead branches break down, roots decompose, and nutrients return to the soil. Every element contributes to the rebirth of the environment. The forest reclaims energy as well as space. Decay and growth exist together in a balance that humans rarely see. Nothing is wasted, nothing is hurried, yet the transformation continues, layer by layer, season by season. The longer humans are absent, the more obvious the forest's work becomes. Sidewalks crack, walls crumble, roofs collapse. Trees spread further, roots push wider, branches stretch higher. Moss, vines, and shrubs take over, filling gaps with greenery. The air feels different, softer, moister. The presence of life becomes undeniable, yet it is not dramatic. There is no rush, no noise, no attempt to make its work noticed. It is simply life continuing, filling spaces, shaping the world. You can stand in the middle of an abandoned space and feel it. The air smells of earth and leaves. The light filters differently through gaps in walls and roofs. Roots crack the ground silently beneath your feet. Leaves rustle in a wind that moves through spaces no longer controlled. The forest has reclaimed the area, not with noise or haste, but with persistence, patience, and quiet work. It has returned the place to the natural rhythm it once knew. Even human structures that seem permanent cannot resist. Stone and metal eventually give way to roots, bark, and soil. Nature does not need to hurry. Persistence over decades and centuries is enough. A small sapling may become a mighty tree, breaking through foundations, spreading branches over rooftops. The slow force of life shapes the abandoned world gently but undeniably. In this way, the forest continues, long after humans leave. Silence dominates the space, but it is alive, full of motion and quiet transformation. Trees do not rush, they do not need to compete, they do not notice our absence. They simply grow, reclaim, and continue. Life returns to spaces once controlled, filling gaps, shaping air, moving soil, spreading roots, stretching branches. Everything is renewed without drama, without effort, without awareness. You are surrounded by this quiet transformation. Standing among the trees, feeling roots underfoot, breathing air shaped by leaves, you can sense the ongoing work. Buildings fall, streets crumble, but the forest remains patient. Growth continues, decay becomes nourishment, and life moves forward. There is no story here about humans. There is only life, quiet, persistent, and continuous. Time flows slowly in this space. Each season, each growth, each decay adds a layer to the process. Trees reclaim land, soil softens, moss spreads, roots expand. Life continues in silence, indifferent to human presence or absence. The forest restores itself naturally, over decades, over centuries. There is no drama. There is only continuation, a quiet and unstoppable process of life reclaiming its own. Trees exist in ways humans rarely understand. They do not need to serve, please, or produce. Their branches stretch not to be admired, their roots dig not to provide. Growth happens quietly, naturally, without reason or reward. Leaves unfold and fall, branches reach and twist, roots burrow and anchor. None of it is done for anyone. The tree does not think of use, benefit, or purpose. It simply exists, following its own patterns, its own rules, its own rhythm. Even when humans try to assign meaning, the tree ignores it. Shade, wood, fruit, oxygen. These are incidental, not the reason for life. The tree does not aim to help or harm. It does not strategize to survive beyond itself. Each growth point, each leaf, each bud emerges because the tree grows that way. The process is quiet and automatic. There is no agenda. No external observer could impose a purpose without misunderstanding the tree. Its existence is autonomous, independent, complete in itself. Branches twist toward sunlight, but not because they want to reach or achieve. Roots dig through soil, but not because they need to provide. The tree does not judge success or failure. It does not evaluate its surroundings in human terms. The seasons pass, storms break branches, droughts dry soil, yet the tree continues. Life moves forward without concern, without expectation, without intent. Each moment of growth is simply a moment of being. Leaves perform photosynthesis, but not to feed anyone. Flowers bloom, but not for applause. Seeds fall, but not to please the wind or animals. Life continues without audience, without approval. The tree does not measure usefulness, does not calculate gain, does not consider loss. Its processes are chemical, physical, and natural, but they carry no purpose beyond continuation of life itself. Growth is the act of living, not a means to an end. Time passes differently here. Centuries may layer quietly in rings, yet the tree does not care. A storm may strip its branches, fire may scar its trunk, frost may kill its leaves, yet the tree endures. Its work is survival, but not in the human sense of winning or achieving. It is simply the act of existing. Life unfolds automatically, moment by moment, with no expectation. Existence itself is the only reason, and it is enough. Even decay does not have intent. When a branch dies or a leaf falls, it does not mourn or regret. It simply completes a cycle. The tree accommodates change as naturally as it accommodates growth. There is no moral or practical judgment. Dead wood remains part of the system, slowly returning nutrients to the soil, but again, not for anyone's benefit. It simply happens. Life and death coexist in the tree's world without assigning value. Forests embody this principle fully. Trees grow beside each other without coordination, without goal. Each occupies space, stretches branches, extends roots. Some flourish, some falter. Some live centuries, some only decades. The system continues without purpose, without planning, without reason beyond the simple mechanics of life. Humans may perceive order or function, but for the trees there is only being. The forest is alive, not for use, not for gain, not for story. It exists in itself. Air, water, sunlight, soil. These are the conditions of life, not rewards. The tree interacts with them because it must, not because it has a goal. Each leaf opening, each root expansion, each cell division occurs naturally, automatically. There is no desire to achieve, no strategy to win. Life is the process, not the result. And the result is often invisible, unnoticed, yet real. Existence does not require acknowledgement. Being is enough. Even the oldest trees exemplify this. Centuries of growth, scars from storms, rings from seasons, branches reaching high, they exist without serving humans, animals, or other plants. They grow because that is what trees do. They persist because that is what life does. No reward, no utility, no external reason is necessary. The tree is life in its simplest, most complete form, existing, enduring, unfolding naturally. Consider a forest floor covered in fallen leaves. Each leaf once existed on a branch above. Now it rests on soil, breaking down into nutrients. None of this is intentional. None of it serves a purpose. It is simply the natural consequence of being alive. The soil nourishes other plants, but the leaf does not know or care. Its existence, its life cycle, its growth and decay happen naturally, automatically, without aim or reward. Even the movement of water within the tree follows this pattern. Sap rises and falls, carrying nutrients and energy to branches, leaves, and roots. The process is chemical and physical, not intentional. The tree does not aim to grow taller, to survive longer, or to produce more leaves. Every action is life happening, unbidden, unplanned, yet perfectly functional. The tree acts without knowing or needing the reason. Sometimes humans try to force purpose onto a tree. We plant it for shade, harvest it for wood, admire it for beauty. Yet the tree continues regardless. Growth happens according to nature's rules, not human needs. Sunlight and rain guide it, gravity shapes it, chemistry moves within it. Its existence is independent, self-contained, and complete. We may benefit from it, but its life does not depend on us. Its purpose is simply life itself. You can observe this quietly. A tree standing alone in a field grows according to sunlight, wind, soil, and water. No one watches, no one cares. It does not question its existence. It grows, ages, sheds leaves, produces seeds, survives or falters, all without reason beyond being. It embodies existence without expectation. Every branch, leaf, and root is simply present. Even patterns in the tree's growth are not purposeful in the human sense. Twisting branches, asymmetrical trunks, clusters of leaves, they follow physical and biological rules. The tree does not aim to be beautiful, strong, or useful. It does not know or intend. Patterns emerge naturally from growth processes, from interaction with light, wind, and soil. Yet these patterns appear deliberate to human eyes. They are not. They are life unfolding without thought, without aim, without purpose. Being instead of doing is the essence of the tree. It does not perform for recognition. It does not act for reward. it simply exists. Its life is a continuous sequence of growth, repair, exchange, and decay. Each moment is enough. Each cell, each branch, each leaf is present without need for justification. The tree models a form of existence unbound by goals, free from the pressure of usefulness, and complete in itself. Roots that burrow, branches that stretch, leaves that unfold, sap that rises, all happen without conscious direction. Life proceeds because it must, because conditions allow, because nature unfolds. There is no intention, no plan, no reason other than existence itself. The tree does not question, it does not aim, it does not reward or punish. It is life in its rawest, most complete form, being without doing, presence without performance. Even the forest as a whole reflects this. Trees grow, age, die, and decompose. Life continues in countless forms above and below the ground. No single tree acts for a purpose beyond itself. Patterns emerge from collective growth, but the intention is absent. The forest functions as a system, yet the system is not conscious. Each tree, each leaf, each root contributes naturally. Life is continuous, flowing, and self-sufficient. Being is enough. You can stand among trees and sense it if you look carefully. No action is required, no use is demanded. The air, the soil, the light all interact with life quietly. Growth happens. Life continues. Presence is enough. The tree does not need a reason, a purpose, or recognition. Its existence is a proof of being without doing, of life without external justification. Each moment is complete, each season sufficient, each branch alive because life continues. The tree reminds us that not all existence is for use. Not all growth requires reward. Not all life is measured by outcomes. It grows, ages, survives, and reproduces because that is what life does. The act of being is itself complete. In this quiet, mysterious, and patient way, trees model existence beyond purpose, beyond intention, beyond human understanding. They simply are, and that is enough. You stand near the tree. Its trunk is rough under your hand, bark ridged and patterned in ways you do not need to understand. Branches stretch above you, casting shadows that move slowly with the sun. The leaves tremble in the wind, yet the tree does not notice. It does not respond to your presence, does not care about your gaze. It simply exists as it always has, as it always will. You do not need to think. You do not need to do. Being near it is enough. The air smells faintly of earth and leaves. Sunlight filters through branches, creating patterns on the ground. You notice how small details appear when you stop trying to observe, when your mind is quiet. A small insect moves across the bark, a bird lands in the upper branches, a leaf flutters to the ground. The tree does not react, and yet life happens around it. You are part of this without needing explanation, without needing control. You simply exist here, alongside the tree, sharing space but not action. Time moves differently near the tree. Seconds stretch, minutes pass unnoticed. The rustling of leaves, the shifting shadows, the occasional bird call, these are rhythms of life that do not demand thought. You feel the slow pulse of something older, wider, deeper than your own perception. The tree does not count years, does not measure hours, does not respond to calendars. Its life is continuous, layered, patient. Standing near it, you become aware of this unmeasured time, yet it does not press upon you. You simply exist in it. The trunk is solid. Roots extend into the soil beneath you, unseen, unacknowledged. They twist, turn, and spread, holding the tree upright. Water and nutrients move quietly through them. No sound announces this movement, no gesture invites notice. The ground under your feet feels stable, alive with the presence of unseen activity. You sense it, though you cannot see it. The tree is anchored in time, in space, in soil. You are close to something that holds centuries without concern, without recognition, without movement beyond its own life. Leaves above catch light in ways that are ever-changing. Patterns of sunlight dance on the forest floor. Shadows shift imperceptibly. The branches sway slightly in the wind. You notice this without needing to label it. The tree does not intend to create patterns, does not aim to show beauty. It simply grows and life unfolds. Small sounds appear and vanish. A rustle here, a drop of water there. Nothing demands explanation. Everything exists quietly, calmly, independently. The air itself feels different near the tree, slightly cooler, subtly more alive. The exchange of gases continues without attention. Oxygen leaves the leaves, carbon dioxide enters. Moisture rises. You inhale without thinking, noticing the quality of the air without naming it. Life circulates silently around and through the tree. You are inside this invisible process, aware only through sensation, not understanding. The world continues without disturbance, without judgment, without intention. You could close your eyes and still feel the presence of the tree. Its bulk beside you, its roots below, its branches above, all convey a sense of enduring life. No action is needed, no thought is required. Even without perception, the tree remains, layered with decades or centuries of growth. Its life is uninterrupted, unobserved, continuous. You are merely nearby, a quiet observer in the shadow of something vast, something patient, something that does not notice. Small changes happen without notice. A leaf falls, a shadow shifts, a small insect moves. Water seeps into the roots, nutrients rise through the trunk, sap circulates silently. Each action is part of life, yet none requires awareness. You sense activity without needing to understand it. Standing here, time seems to stretch, compress, and fold. The tree holds a presence that is steady, quiet, and independent. You are part of it for a moment, though the tree does not see you. The texture of the bark beneath your hand is uneven. Patterns of growth, scars from storms, marks of seasons, these are records you cannot read fully. They are reminders of time passing, of life unfolding without explanation. The tree has existed long before you arrived. It will continue long after you leave. Standing beside it, you feel this quiet persistence. You do not need to name it or measure it. Its endurance is evident in its simple presence. The wind moves through the canopy, leaves shiver, branches sway. The sounds are subtle. You notice them, but the tree does not. It does not respond to wind, sunlight, insects, or humans. It continues its life, following rhythms invisible to you. You sense its patience, its constancy. Standing here, you are inside a life that is vast, layered, and enduring. Nothing is explained, nothing is analyzed. You are only present. You hear nothing of urgency. There is no drama, no action demanding attention, only quiet existence. Roots, trunk, branches, leaves, life continues in its own way. Moisture circulates, sap rises and falls, leaves absorb light, roots draw nutrients. The tree persists, indifferent to all events outside itself. You do not need to do anything. Your presence does not affect it. You are merely nearby, and that is enough. Birds perch briefly, then fly. A squirrel climbs unseen branches. Shadows lengthen and shift. The light changes. You feel these changes, but they are not events. They are life unfolding, continuous, unnoticed, independent. The tree remains solid and enduring, aware of nothing outside its own processes. You are in the presence of something immense, something that exists without reaction, without concern, without need. The ground beneath you is alive. Roots extend in all directions. Soil is rich with past cycles of growth and decay. Tiny creatures move, feeding, nesting, living. The tree supports them, but not intentionally. Life continues, layered, interwoven, persistent. You sense it in the quiet vibrations of the forest floor, the subtle give of earth beneath your feet, the faint movement of air and sap. Sunlight moves slowly across leaves, changing patterns. Shadows shift imperceptibly. Time is measured not in hours but in movement, in life unfolding. You stand near the tree, aware of this slow rhythm. The tree continues. It does not count, it does not measure, it does not notice. It simply exists as it always has, as it always will. You are nearby, sharing space without affecting it. Everything is continuous. Wind, light, roots, leaves, branches, air, soil, water, they all move and shift in their own rhythms. The tree does not react to you, to the forest, or to the world. It continues. Life goes on. Presence is enough. You do not need to name, measure, or analyze. The tree holds existence simply because it is alive. Even decay, broken branches, fallen leaves, or dead roots continue as part of life. Nothing stops. Life flows through the tree, through the soil, through the air, and you are part of it by proximity. You do not need to act, to think, to understand. The tree exists without reason, without recognition, without intent. You exist nearby, quietly noticing the flow without needing to categorize it. The forest around the tree breathes silently. Shadows shift, wind moves, light falls, roots push, leaves flutter. Life is continuous and layered. You are standing beside something immense, something older and more patient than you can fully perceive. Its presence is vast, silent, and unmoving in its awareness. You do not need to engage. You do not need to name. You simply exist alongside it, sharing a space filled with quiet life. Time continues without pause. Seconds, minutes, hours pass. You feel them, but the tree is unaware. Its rings stack slowly, sap moves imperceptibly, roots continue their hidden work. Branches and leaves respond to light, moisture, and wind, yet all happens without consciousness. You stand there near something living that does not react, does not notice, does not judge. Its existence is sufficient. Its life unfolds naturally. Being here, you notice the subtle patterns of existence. Shadows shift, wind rustles leaves, birds perch briefly and fly, insects move unnoticed. Nothing demands explanation, nothing requires reaction. Life continues around you. The tree is still. It does not see you, it does not respond, it simply is. You are nearby, quietly aware, and that is enough. Even the smallest details hold weight. A fallen leaf, a tiny branch, a bud about to bloom. Each is part of a continuum, a quiet unfolding. You do not need to assign importance. The tree exists in its own space, its own rhythm, independent of your presence, indifferent to your attention. Its life is layered, ongoing, continuous. You stand beside it, aware, quiet, observing without need for understanding. The forest floor, the air, the trunk, the leaves, the roots, all interact in ways invisible, subtle, continuous. You are within this flow, nothing is required of you. No judgment, no purpose, no understanding. The tree continues. Life continues. The world continues. You exist nearby in the presence of something vast, something alive, something indifferent to your perception. Presence is enough.